Hi friends, welcome! I've got a great video for you today. I'm going to cover an updated Apex Legends Season 5 tier list for you. And thank you to everyone that suggested I make a video on this in the comments of my last video, and everyone that came onto my Discord to ask me to make this video. So I'm going to give you an idea of a really great Season 5 tier list that works for you in terms of Legends. And it's based on my gameplay and my opinions, so obviously you might have your own opinions of who would be top of your tier list, and that's absolutely fine. In fact, you can hop onto my Discord after watching this video and let me know who you would have at the top of your list. First of all, let me talk to you about how I've scored this, because I've come up with a bit of a scoring criteria to help me put these Legends into different categories. The first scoring criteria is pick rate. So based on the pick rate, I've given points. For 0 to 5% pick rate, I've given 1 point. For 5 to 10% pick rate, I've given 2 points. For 10 to 20% pick rate, I've given 3 points. And 20 plus, I've given 4 points. The point of doing that is because this list is supposed to help you think mainly for ranked gameplay, but pretty much for any game where you want to think, I want to win this, which legend do I pick? In theory, you can use this tier list to help you work that out. I've also given some ratings for offensive and defensive out of 10, and I'll add all of these together and that helps me then put them into a category. So let's start with the categories. The first category is category D, and I'm really sorry for you crypto mains, but I put crypto in this category. Crypto has the lowest pick rate out of any legend, 3%, so he only gets 1 point for pick rate. I've also only given 6 points, both for offensive and defensive, and that's because I feel like while his abilities are good and his meta is good, I just feel like they could be better. One of my main concerns or issues with crypto is that his drone's really easy to shoot down if it's stationary, but to be able to move your drone around you have to be in your drone, which means you're stationary. That basically means you're useless to yourself and to your team while you're in your drone, and that's really annoying for me. I think the ability to have the move based on vicinity, so you still have to go into the drone and deploy it somewhere to spot the enemies, but then basically when you move vicinity, perhaps in a given radius, the drone would follow you. I still feel like something like that would definitely shift crypto up the ranks for me. So that's actually it for category D. Let's look at the next category then, which is category C. So Revenant is in this category for me. With his buff, the death totem now has unlimited distance, which I think is what, for me, puts him in this category. If it didn't have that, I would have put him in D with crypto. Also, his pick rate's fairly low, it's 4.5%, so he gets 1 point for that. Points wise, I've given him 8 for offense and 5 for defense. I think 8 is mainly because of that death totem, the fact that it has a better range. Well, actually it's unlimited, so that fact really makes it a great offensive tool. But I just don't like his tactical, I don't think his passive is of any use, and because of that, I think he has to sit in this category. Bangalore is in this category as well, with a 6.36% pick rate. She gets 2 points, and that's a fairly decent pick rate. Not amazing, but actually pretty good. However, I've only given 6 points for both offensive and defensive because I think she needs more. Her offensive and defensive abilities just need that little bit more to get her up there. It's not quite good enough to help her reposition and help her team reposition. For me, I think her ultimate should have something like proximity sensors, which basically when it deploys and an enemy goes near it, it'll explode. But if your team goes near it, then it doesn't explode. Something like that would really give her a boost. Now, I do think that Bangalore will be getting a buff or a rework next season, in Season 6. I think she'll be the legend like Mirage got this season, she'll be the legend for that season that gets that big buff or rework. I also think she'll get an heirloom next season, so keep a lookout for that. You Bangalore mains might be getting some good action next season, in Season 6. And that rounds out category C. We can look at category B now, that's the next category. Octane sits here for me. I really like Octane, he's so much fun, but in terms of helping me get a win, and maybe helping you get a win, I just think he's got to sit in B. His pick rate's at 6.5%, that gives him 2 points, which is a fairly decent pick rate, but I couldn't give him more than 7 out of 10 and 6 out of 10 for offensive and defensive, respectively. I just feel like those abilities, even with the buffs that came with the Lost Treasures event, so the faster stim speed, the double jump on the jump pad, I just feel like they're fun and good little changes for Octane fans, and I play with Octane sometimes and they have helped my gameplay, but they're still not there in terms of abilities for me as an Octane to win in high level ranked gameplay or help my team with those abilities. That's why Octane sits here in my head. I also put Lobo in this category. I like Lobo, and for those of you that know me and have seen my gameplay all of this season, you know I've played with Lobo a lot. But I feel in terms of abilities, in terms of meta, in terms of as a legend that's going to help me win a lot in high level rank play, I don't think she's quite there in comparison with other legends. The 7% pick rate is fairly good, but that might just be because she's new. She gets 2 points for that anyway. But again, I couldn't give more than 6 out of 10 and 7 out of 10 for offensive and defensive respectively. I just feel like the bracelet animation, when she throws her bracelet to teleport, I just feel like it's too slow. If it could be a bit faster, like the speed of Pathfinder deploying his grapple. That kind of speed I think would really improve Lobo gameplay and just make her more useful in those situations. Maybe also if you could bring your teammates along with you when you teleport. Maybe if they're in the vicinity of you, they can press a button to teleport with you. Something like that would be a great buff for Lobo. That would get her up into the next category for me in my tier list. So that's it for Lobo. The final legend I've got in this category is Mirage. So Mirage had some great buffs, or I guess you would call it a rework this season in season 5, and that really shifted him up the list. I might have even put him in A, however, the reason I didn't is because with the Lost Treasures event, we also saw him get a bit of a nerf, and I've noticed recently that nerf, at least for me when I face Mirage, makes it a lot easier for me to spot which one's the real Mirage, and that really takes away a lot of the rework that he had done. I still think he's strong, and that's why he sits in this category. Before I would have had him in C, maybe even D, but now, yeah, he sits in B for me. I would say probably the 3 legends in this category are the most fun for me. So in casual gameplay, I probably use these legends a bit more than any other, but in terms of helping me win games and helping me in ranked gameplay, I just don't think these legends are quite there in comparison to the other legends I'm about to talk about. And with that in mind, let's move to the next category. We've got Gibraltar in this category. This is category A. Although he has a low pick rate, he's got a very strong meta. His abilities can be used to attack a position, you know, by throwing down the dome shield, maybe throwing down his bombardment and then running into the dome shield. That's a great way to move and advance towards your enemy. It does damage to your enemy, so that's great. It's also a great way to get out of trouble, throw a bombardment behind you and throw down your dome shield. That protects you as you're running away and your team, and it kind of stops the enemy chasing you as well. So because of that, and also the fact that his gun shield increases his HP, I think Gibraltar has to sit in this category for me. Next we've got Watson. So Watson also sits here because in my mind she's the best defensive legend in the game, and although again she's got a low pick rate, her abilities just defensively are amazing, and I was actually really close to putting it to a 10. I think maybe there's some small tweaks they could make. With the Lost Treasures event, she also got a bit of a nerf where her ultimate doesn't last forever, but they kind of made up for it because ultimate accelerants she can carry 2 in one slot, and 1 ultimate accelerant equals 1 ultimate, which is amazing. So overall that's why she sits in this category. I've got a couple more legends in this category. So Lifeline for me sits in this category. Lifeline I think has some great abilities, and with her buff that came with the Lost Treasures event where she can now deploy her drone to res someone while she defends that position or repositions somewhere else, that shield protects her, and then if the enemies were to advance through that shield, she's now able to shoot them. That ability I think is why I've had to put her in category A. I maybe would have had her in B if she didn't have that. So pre-Lost Treasures updates, I don't think she would have sat here. Also her care package now has a few more items, so basically she's just a bit more useful, and that's why she has to sit here for me. Finally we've got Bloodhound in this category. Bloodhound has a decent pick rate, and so Bloodhound gets points for that. But also I think Bloodhound is probably one of the most balanced legends. I really like the fact that Bloodhound's ability lets you see where people are, and it lasts for longer now in season 5. That's such a great benefit. It really helps you out in repositioning or attacking, and that's why I just feel Bloodhound's so well balanced. Bloodhound maybe is the closest to S tier for me in my head, but I don't think we'll be seeing any buffs in the near future, and I think the balancing is just about right to be at the top of category A. And we've got one more legend actually in this category, and that's Caustic. I almost had Caustic in the top category as well. Caustic's pick rate has gone up massively at 8%, which is really impressive. His abilities are so good, offensively and defensively. I do think the slight nerf that came with Lost Treasures, where if an enemy's shooting at you and you try to deploy your tactical, if those bullets hit the tactical, it will stop it deploying. I think that's quite a big nerf in my mind. I've had some issues with that, but overall I think Caustic's really well balanced. You can use his abilities to attack or defend a position. They're definitely the most annoying in the game, I would say. Like, definitely when I play against a Caustic, I know I'm going to be in for an annoying game. And that rounds out A tier. The final tier we've got is the S tier. That's the top tier we've got, and we've got 2 legends. I guess what most people would consider the best legends sit here. First of all, we've got Pathfinder. Despite his nerf in Season 5, which I know everyone hated because of the cooldown time, but he's still useful, he's still very good. At a pick rate of above 10%, he's still being picked a lot. Offensively, defensively, you can grapple into great positions, and you can bring your team along with you with a zip line. I mean, there's some really great offensive and defensive capabilities with Pathfinder. It's really hard to put him any lower than the S tier, if I'm being honest. Our final legend is Wraith. Of course, Wraith has to be top tier, and I'm not just saying that because I'm a Wraith main. I think most people would agree Wraith is a great legend. All round, she's so well balanced. Also, her pick rate is ridiculous. It's at 26% roughly, and this is just based on the research I could find online. That means basically every squad will have a Wraith. That's insane. Also, her tactical is the only tactical which means you can't be shot. For 4 seconds, Wraith can't be shot. Even though she got a nerf with the Lost Treasures event, where it takes longer to deploy her tactical, it still makes you invincible for 4 seconds, which is 1 second longer than it was before the Lost Treasures event. So there's a lot of benefit there, and I think overall, her ability to reposition not just herself, but her whole squad makes her probably the most valuable legend. That's also why if you watch any tournaments with, the top 1% players in the world, you'll see that pretty much every squad has a Wraith, just because that Wraith can get them into really great positioning to attack or defend in any situation. And that's really why, in my mind, Wraith is at the top of this list. So there you have it, that's my full Apex Legends Season 5 tier list, and that's taking into account all of the buffs and nerfs we've seen across this season, and with the ranked season split that has occurred, I think this hopefully will help you at least have an idea of who you want to pick as you get to those higher ranks, and you need to start thinking about which legend is actually going to help your whole squad win and help you win. And that's kind of what it's about. Like I said, just my opinions. You guys might have your own thoughts, so please feel free to share them with me, and I look forward to hearing them. Thanks again for watching, and I'll catch you later.